Before there was an internet, you know, we, my goodness, people today, they freak out when they lose their internet connection. They freak out and go, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do now?" And but people from my generation, hey, we've lived 30 some years before there even was an internet. Yeah, before there was an internet, we got along just fine. Yeah, and I'm not saying technology is bad. I never say that. What I say is that um, the internet uh, is only as good as the people who use it. So, um, so this means that it depends on the people. Yeah, what kind of people are they um, that are using the internet? Because you can do a lot of good things. It depends on how you are. Like for example, last year with this big uh, protest camp that started, I think that started in April of last year uh, in on Standing Rock Sioux Reservation, north of Cannonball, North Dakota, the north side of their reservation. It just started with a few people. And most of those people were from Cheyenne River, which is where I'm from, Cheyenne River Sioux tribe. And um, and as time went on, and by within a matter of months, this camp grew to several thousand people from all over the world that were there. Yeah, people from all over the world were going there to be part of a historical event and to experience a unity. You know, the first time uh, native peoples from North and South America were coming together and uniting as one voice, one heart, one mind, one strength, one might. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. And that happened because of the internet. Yeah, because people were making videos with their smartphones and putting them on their Facebook and YouTube, and then other filmmakers came and started to make their films too to show what's going on and things like that. And that got people started to share the videos all over on Facebook, and it just spread throughout the world. Next thing you know, Obama was attending when he was president. He was attending some kind of conference with Asian countries, and a lady from where was it, Laos? She stood up and she asked. She said, "We stand in solidarity with our, with the native people in South North Dakota concerning this Dakota Access Pipeline, to try to stop it." And she asked President Obama, "What is your stand on that?" And he was surprised. He probably didn't think that something like that was going to get his attention. Yeah, he's halfway on the other side of this planet, talking about issues affecting Asian peoples, but here's an Asian woman saying that her and her people are standing in solidarity with Native people in North Dakota. And I think that kind of took him by surprise. And that's all because of the internet. So in that sense, it can be a really good thing. And like I said, it depends on how the people use it. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, it depends on the people who use it. And one thing that when certain people, who have social problems, they have social dysfunctional problems because they're not emotionally developed. You know, they have a problem, living in reality in society. And before the internet was existing, these are the kind of people you never saw. They're always at home. They stay to themselves. They might be, turn out to be some kind of dysfunctional criminals or whatever, and become predatory. I mean, preying on victims and I mean people, they victimize people to satisfy their sick uh, desires, their unhealthy desires, and those kind of crimes were they happen, yeah, and every one of us, we know somebody, even they may not have been a criminal, but we know them to be not too social, that they're always home, they never go outside, they never go anywhere, you never see them with somebody of the opposite sex because they're always alone, yeah, and they don't know how to function in the social setting. Yeah, they have a social phobia, and so before the internet existed, these people always stayed at home. You, they didn't do anything, or maybe they were extreme and they would do something. Yeah, maybe they rape people or molest people or whatever, and it's a problem. Then, when the internet comes into existence, now these kind of people have more access to um, nurture their unhealthy lifestyle. Yeah, and because of the internet, there's chat rooms, there's sites, dating sites, internet dating sites and things like that where people can you know pretend to be somebody they're not. Yeah, they can put up a photo and and say that um, they are somebody they're not, or they use pictures from 30 years ago. Yeah. You can just tell by the hairstyle and if they're wearing glasses and they look like goggles, and that was the style in the 70s and things like that. And they use really old photos of themselves and or there might be even using somebody else's photo. Maybe they're not even the correct the same gender as what's on the photo. Maybe it's a guy pretending to be a woman and vice versa. Yeah, and they go on these dating sites and make a profile and they say this are my interests and this is my belief system and this is my zodiac sign and these are my measurements and excuse me, all that kind of thing. And then they go onto these sites with these fake profiles and start a conversation up with somebody, and then the next thing you know, they are flirting, yeah, and maybe the other person starts to fall in love, and they say, okay, let's let's meet someplace and something like that. And now that's going to be a problem because that person, uh, the see, one of these people is not telling the truth. Yeah, and y there's a really good show called Catfish, and you can see it on YouTube as well. Yeah, just Google Catfish, TV show, and I like watching the series because it shows how people pretend to be somebody they're not. Yeah, they create whole identities and all kinds of Ooh, excuse me. Sorry about that. They create all kinds of identities and use fake photos, and they alter their voice when they talk on the telephone. Yeah, for example, and 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 uh, and it's crazy. Yeah, and they fool people, and people who fall victim to it are usually people with low self-esteem. Um, yeah, because the internet allows an easier, uh, what do I say? An easier. It makes it easier for them to meet people because uh, meeting in person is difficult for these kind of people. And on the internet, they can be at their best, yeah, on their best behavior. They can use photos that are probably not even correct photos. All kinds of things like that. And and it just doesn't, it's not the complete truth. And so when people connect like that on the internet, see, already the foundation is very shaky because there's some things that are not true. Somebody is saying things about themselves that are not really true. So, that's a shaky foundation. That means it's going to fall. Yeah, the foundation is going to fall. So single sites are things that I normally do not recommend because people are focusing on looks. Um, people will not try to contact others unless they're satisfied with their physical looks, and so um, it's it's very two dimensional. Yeah, it's just what you see, and and sometimes when you start chatting with somebody, you start to open up because for some reason, in a lot of unhealthy people, it's easier for them to open up about their life, to strangers than it is to somebody they already know in real life, in person. Because in real life and in person, they have this fear of being rejected. So it's harder for them to try to make friends in real life. But on the internet, that difficulty is not there, and so they thrive on that. Yeah, they are able to, they feel that they're more confident, they're more brave, and and the reality is they don't really know if the person they're talking to is for real or not. Like lots of times you hear people say, when they met somebody on the internet, they'll say, "Oh yeah, that person just understands me 100%, and they know what I mean, and they've gone through the same thing that I've gone through, so that person really supports me and emotionally, and whenever I'm feeling down, all I have to do is text message that person, and that person is there for me, and now I'm in love with this person." Yeah, but that's really not a good foundation because you don't really know if that person is really saying what they mean. Most likely they're telling you what you want to hear. Now, if you cannot get emotional support in real life, then you got to be careful because the strongest emotional support is going to be in real life, in people that you can see in front of you, three-dimensional. Yeah, people that you know, people who've earned your trust. You know, uh, you should not be using the internet to find emotional support. Yeah, I mean, I should say it differently. You shouldn't use the internet as the only place to find emotional support because you don't really know about that other person. They can tell you anything. How do you know what's true? Feeling that they're telling the truth is not good enough. In the Lakota way, we have this concept of the medicine wheel, and that this medicine wheel shows that all four parts are connected, and what happens to one part affects the others. So we look at the self. The self, we see the self as having four parts: physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. And when you meet somebody in real life, for those of you who are from my generation, who were born in the 60s and 70s and before then, when there was no internet, think about that. When you met somebody for the first time, now I'm not talking about romance, okay? I'm talking about just meeting people for the first time, like say at a conference or a meeting or a birthday party or a feast or powwow or something like that. You meet somebody for the first time and you're just talking. Hey, where are you from? Oh, I'm from over there. Hey, how about that? That's cool. See, when you're talking to somebody in person, you feel the energy. Both of you can feel the energy of each other. And you hear in the voice what do you call it? You hear something that causes you to feel a certain way too. Well, that's two things there. That's the physical and the emotional. But right along with that is the spiritual and the mental. When you're in person and you meet somebody for the first time, those connections, if it's pleasing to both of you, and this doesn't have to be romance, it could be just friendship. But when you make a good connection like that in real life, those kind of connections, they last for years if both people want it. Whereas the internet has kind of made our relationships like disposable, like a diaper. Yeah, it's very fast, uh, and because the internet there's a possibility to meet a large number of people. People develop uh, this this way of thinking where, okay, they meet somebody and they say, oh yeah, that person's really nice and stuff, but maybe I can do better. So they continue looking for somebody, and they do this until they just never get satisfied because they continue to do this. They never really end up in a healthy relationship. And one of the big reasons why is because that physical in person element is not there. When you're in a um, say for example, when you go to the doctor or something and you go to a waiting room and there's other people in there, you kind of, as you observe, oh, excuse me, as you observe others, you kind of get a feeling of how that person might be. You can't get that on the internet. See, that shows you that in real life you have more power, you have more potential. But unhealthy people generally cannot function in real life, and the internet allows them to function in an unhealthy way, but still be able to do things, but they're not capable of um, making a healthy connection. Yeah. So then they you know, the, I let me say this first because I know it's possible to find someone good on the internet. I know this is possible. Yeah, I experienced it myself, but only when both people are emotionally healthy. Yeah, but most times that's not the way it is. Most times people who are emotionally unhealthy, they stay on a computer all day long, just Facebooking, making profiles on dating websites and with no intention of ever meeting that person, but sending photos and things like that to each other, and all that kind of thing. Um, and as a result, um, it's the foundation is not strong enough. Yeah, it is not strong enough. So the communication, people think that they're when they're talking to somebody, that, oh, that person just understands me. That's the only person in the world who understands the way I feel. How do you know that? You don't really know that. When you're emotionally healthy, you can feel it in their voice. You can, and it's important to see that person in person and not just on the internet. So that way, when you're talking to them, you're sitting beside them, you're talking to each other, you can get a feeling of how that person is. Yeah, and they can get a feeling about you too. But it works the best when you're emotionally healthy. Yeah, it works the best when you are emotionally healthy first. So uh, this way, you're more responsible. Yeah, and you get an idea. Yeah, you get a good feeling about the person you're talking to. It's very important that this an in-person meeting happens. It's very important. So, but I'm just thinking of like sometimes maybe you do meet somebody. Maybe you do meet somebody on the internet, and you talk and talk and talk, and maybe even have phone calls, and then you say, okay, let's meet, and the person says, okay, cool. So you make the arrangements to meet, and then you're seeing each other in person for the very first time. Even though you have photos of each other, you don't know how recent those photos are. But when you're in person, see, now you know what they look like, for one thing. You hear their voice, and plus you're able to get a feeling from them. You can't do this over the internet. Some people say, well, I feel these strong feelings every time I talk to this person online. I'm not going to doubt that, but that's only part of it. That's just a small percentage. The bigger percentage happens when you're in person. So, uh, When people say, "Yeah, we've been talking to each other for 3 years and we never met yet in person, but I'm in love with that person. We've told each other that we love each other, and this is just, we are each other's soulmates, and we're so perfect for each other." People talk like this, and even they never met in person, which means they don't really know what love is, because true love happens in person. It can begin online. I'm not saying that's impossible, but it has to come to in person, and you have to eventually be in the same place for it to grow. Both of you have to nurture it. In my past, I met somebody online, yeah, and I developed very strong feelings for this girl, and she was saying the same thing to me. And she was smart, yeah, and it all started with a cultural exchange, because I'm native and she's from another culture, and so we started, talking about each other's cultures. I mean, talking about our cultures with each other, sharing our cultures with each other, and then we slowly started, talking about everyday things. What are you doing today, and kind of thing like that, and then I started to feel romantic feelings. I started to feel that I could fall in love with this lady, and she was saying the same thing to me too. And after talking to each other on telephone and Skype and things like that for about oh mm, I don't know, maybe 9 months or something like that. Um, I was the one who brought it up. I said, "Would you like to meet in person?" And I said, "Don't feel pressured and be honest with me." I said, "Because if you think this if you're scared to, tell me, and we don't have to." I said, I don't want to force you to do anything you don't want to do. If you don't want to meet, that's fine." Yeah, and I didn't say this, but in my mind, if she did not want to meet in person, then I could never become romantically involved with that person. Yeah, I don't think I could really fall in love, because to me, uh, love includes, you know, getting along with each other in person. So I said, uh, be honest with me. Yeah, if you want to meet, that's cool. If you don't want to meet, that's cool too. But I can't go further than that. Though I cannot enter a relationship with somebody I don't really know in person. So I can't say, "Oh, I'm in love with you." I can't say that until I meet that person in person. So she said, "Yeah, let's do that." So we had a meeting. Yeah, our first meeting was about 4 days, because it was just an introduction. Yeah, this is me. Yeah, and this is you, and go out and have dinner, and just talk about anything, just to see how each other uh, is in person. It was nice. This lady lived in another country, and uh, spoke another language, of course, but English was her second language. And but she could speak enough English so I could understand her, and she knew how to say what she felt in English. Yeah. So it started off really nice, and then I came home. I returned to where I lived at that time, and then I said, okay, to myself, well, I got a really good feeling about this woman, and then later on we had another discussion, and I said, I really enjoyed, the time, that we visited, and I would like to do that again. And she said, yeah, but this time stay longer. So I said, okay. So the next time was I doubled it. Yeah, next time I stayed 8 days and just slowly work it up from there. So I said, okay, a month later, I went to her again, and then we had a glorious 8 days, and then we thought, okay, let's take this to the next level, yeah, and so I said, okay, let's do that. So it really looked like it was going to be something, yeah, but I'm always careful because when when you know somebody mostly online, you don't really know, or you don't have a complete uh, comprehension of what they are like. So I was still a little bit skeptical, even though I was in love now because we met in person, yeah, and and she was, saying that too, and I also felt she was in love with me too. I just felt it, and then we started talking about another visit that would be even longer, and to you know see if if we can really, if we can make this into a really you know powerful relationship, and then keep going to the next level. Yeah, keep taking it higher and higher and higher, and so forth. And I had a good feeling about that this would work. And then I noticed something weird. In one of my visits, I noticed something weird, and it had to do with her body language. There was something that she did that caught my attention. It was like a twitch, yeah, a facial twitch. And so I thought, there's something here. I need to find out what it is. And so I started thinking, what could that be? Yeah, I started to, um, really think about everything that happened so far, between her and I. And I just got this uneasy feeling that there was something that she was not being on the up and up with me. I started to feel that more and more, that there was something that she wasn't saying. And then I started to think, oh shit, I think this girl has a mental illness. Yeah, because see, some people who have a certain mental illness, they're really good at hiding it. Yeah, they're really good at hiding it. And if you don't see them every day, you don't know. Because the time that you do see them, they could be on their best behavior. Yeah, they'll really be loving and really outstanding, really amazing. But you don't know what's happening when you are away. Yeah, when you are gone. And my phone made a beep. How come it did that? Maybe the person I'm talking about is calling me and saying, "Don't be talking about me." No. I know she doesn't listen to this show, so I can say anything I want. Excuse me. This is my past, okay? I'm talking about my past. Okay. Um, so I started to realize the facial twitch means something. I asked her, but I was honest. I asked her, I said, I noticed that when we're together, I said that sometimes your face does a certain thing. Do you have a twitch or something? And she said, no, my face doesn't do that, she said. See, she didn't know. She's unaware. Maybe, or maybe she is aware, but she's trying to deny it. Yeah? And I just got the impression that that when I'm not there, that this woman gets anxiety attacks and probably usually that's also accompanied with depression. Because sometimes, you there are people who seem to be just amazing and seem like they're always in a good mood when you see them. Yeah, when you see them, and if you don't see them that often, but when you do see them, they're always in a good mood and really just wonderful people. They could still be in a depression. So I started to think about that. And I started to think, I think this girl is in depression, and I just, this, I just asked her. I said, I didn't ask her about the depression because sometimes people who are in depression they don't even know it. Yeah. So I wasn't gonna say, "Are you? Do you have a depression?" I didn't say that. But what I did say is, in your life, I said, did you ever have an anxiety attack? She kind of paused, and then I knew that was my answer. Yes, she did. And that she still does. Yeah, that she still is having those attacks. And so I started thinking, okay, what's there's something behind that. Yeah, there is something behind that. And I noticed that she doesn't have many friends. Now, I'm not saying that's bad, okay? But she said something to me that really was a big revelation. Yeah? She said that she doesn't really have friends her age, that she prefers to be, because she's younger than me, okay? And she prefers to be around older people. That's what she said. And she considers her mother her best friend and not her mother. She don't see her as her mother. She sees her mother as her best friend, and she sees her father as her brother. She's an only child, okay? So I started thinking, shit, there's something wrong with that. That's not healthy. Yeah? I mean, your mother is your mother. And for those of you who are mothers, yeah, you if you're a healthy woman, you're not going to say, "Oh yeah, my daughter's my best friend. Yeah, we're friends. She's not my daughter, she's my friend." If you're healthy, you would never say that. Yeah, you would never say that. The mother is a mother. A mother has responsibilities, but your mother is not your best friend. Yeah, your mother is your mother, and there's a certain relationship there that is sacred. But you don't say, "Oh, this is like my sister." So when this lady was telling me that she considers her mother as her sister and her father as her brother, then I knew, okay, we have a problem here. Then I knew that this is this is it. I can't continue with this because there's going to be a problem in the future. She will find, uh, she will do something um, fucked up. Yeah, because the times that I was with her, now I understood she was on her best behavior, but I was not always with her. So the times that I was not with her is, were times where she would have anxiety attacks, where she would, a lot of things were unhealthy going on. But see, she knew how to behave. She knew how to act healthy when she was with me. But when this relationship was going to grow and where I would be with her more often, this scared her. Not the relationship. That I don't think the relationship itself scared her. What scared her is that she's not going to be able to hide these problems from me because we'll be together all the time. So she will not be able to hide everything. And and during her moments, I'll say in a nice way, she's gonna fuck up. And I thought, I cannot be in a relationship like that because this woman is not ready for a relationship. She thinks she is. She says she is. She told me I was the most important person in her life. She told me that. She told me she wanted to be with me forever. Yeah. She told me she wanted to be my wife. And at the time, I was like, that's what I want too. But I started to see more. Yeah. As I started to watch her body language, I started to see things that I didn't see before. And the only way you can do this is you yourself have to be emotionally healthy. If I was not emotionally healthy, I would probably see these things, but I would be in denial, and I would just ignore it. And I've done that in my past. Yeah, in my 30s, I was with somebody, she was really I could see that she was really fucked up, emotionally and mentally, but I denied it. I acted like, oh, there's nothing wrong, and that relationship really got crazy in the end. That lady was fucking crazy. At first, I had to think, am I crazy too? So I talked with people, yeah, uh, people who are wise, people who I consider wise and have life experience, but also have wisdom. And I told them my story, and I didn't say it one-sided. I did tell the truth the way I saw it, and and they told me that, yeah, David, you're in emotional denial. because you saw the problem, you knew there was a problem, but you denied it because you're living in an emotional denial yourself. So you push these things aside, and they were right. Yeah, that was I used to be like that in my 30s. So after that, I started to work on my emotional well-being, and from that, I learned to that there's certain body language that can reveal things. Yeah. So in other words, like some people will say something, but their body says another thing. Their body is telling the truth, and their words are lies. And I started to feel that about this this girl I'm talking about. That when she was saying, she wanted to be my wife, and that I was the best she's ever had, things like that, and I started to notice the body language. I started to see this twitch, yeah, and I started to think, she's this either she's hiding something, or there's something wrong and she's not aware of it, yeah, and when she started talking more, then it started to come clear to me that this woman, uh, she knows how to act healthy, but only for a certain time period. Yeah. Then after that, she doesn't. She's going to slip up, and this is why she gets scared. Intense relationship with anybody, because that person will see her every day, and eventually she can't keep this act going. It's like she's wearing a mask, and she can't keep it on all the time. Eventually, that mask is going to fall down, and then the person will see her for what she really is, and she knows that, so she will get scared. I started to see that this is the kind of woman she is. Yeah, so I said, we have to have a talk. Yeah, I said, if I'm going to be with you, I said, this, 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 and this needs to be in place. But I don't feel that you're capable of those things, I said. And this is why. I said, I explained to her my my feelings, my thoughts. And I said, if I am wrong, I said, then tell me and show me. Yeah, show me the way. Yeah, show me. Because I could be wrong, I said. I admit that I could be wrong. But usually these things do indicate an emotional unbalance or imbalance, I should say. So she got scared. Yeah, she got scared of it, and then I said, I can just see us. I said, I can see myself moving to your country, and being with you, and maybe even getting married with you, and that we're living together, we can start a family. But I think that something is wrong, and you're not telling me. And if we do this, I said, if we do this and we even have children, I don't think you're being totally honest with me. And for that reason, I also think that this is going, if we have children, this is going to affect the children, because children can sense things that are wrong, and that's how they develop, certain phobias, certain allergies, or whatever. They do pick up on this, and it does lead to some kind of emotional problem. I said, I don't want to bring a child in this world where all it's going to be emotionally damaged by its mother or father. I said, I only want to be in a healthy relationship. Like I getting the feeling that you're not 100% honest with me. I said, and I said because if I come here to your city, I will see you every day, and I think I will see something that you don't want me to see about yourself. And she started making excuses. Yes, she started to say things like, um, that, oh yeah, it's gonna be really difficult if you come here because of this and because of that and because blah 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 blah. And see, now she's looking for other excuses that um that I in her mind that I'm not able to solve. So she's trying to throw the ball back to me, figuratively speaking, and not in a good way. Yeah, she's trying to make it look like that it would be too difficult for me. And I said, I'll tell you what. I said, when I came to Germany, it was for a woman, and but there's one thing that this woman and I spoke about, and that is that we will do whatever it takes to survive here, as long as it's legal. Yeah, that we will do what we have to do so that our relationship survives. That when we go through difficulty, we will discuss this and learn from it and make the most out of it and it could be a very beautiful thing, and our love for each other will grow exponentially because of that. That we will fight for our love. Yeah, that if times get difficult, we will, look for jobs, like working at a store or something, whatever we have to do to pay the bills, as long as it's legal, that's what we will do, because we want this relationship to work, and we will do everything we can. And if there's a problem, we will talk about it and we will find a solution together. That is the healthy way to do it. This 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 German lady that I'm talking about at that time was a very, very good woman. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here. Yeah. So uh, she was a very good woman, and was always honest with me, and I was always honest with her too. And uh, we supported one another, especially emotionally. Yeah, especially emotionally, we supported one another, and we both contributed to this relationship. Yeah, and when things got tough, whether it was financially or emotionally or whatever, we fought for our love. I was going to come here, learn a new language, and um, do my business here, and we will make it. Number one thing, so love has to be there, but we have to both fight for it. We have to nurture it. And I said to this other girl, I don't think you're capable of that. I don't think you're capable of fighting. We say we love each other, but I don't think you're capable of fighting for it. because you're giving up already. I can tell you don't have the courage to fight for this love. Yeah, you don't have what it takes. You need to grow up. Yeah. What I'm sensing from you is irresponsibility. I didn't see that in the beginning because in the beginning we met on the internet. See? Do you see what I mean? You don't see everything. When you just communicate online and through text messages and through Facebook or some chat room or whatever, Snapchat or whatever other programs there are, WhatsApp and all that kind of thing, that's not good enough. You have to get to know the person in real life. And so every time I met this girl, I kept saying, I mean, I kept observing, yeah, I kept thinking, watching her body language, and I was relaxed. I wanted her to watch my body language too, because I have nothing to hide. But from her body language and these weird twitches, I to me that was saying she's hiding something. That she's and usually when somebody's hiding something, that also means they're irresponsible and that they they don't have the ability to fight for the love, to do what it takes to nurture the love, that they don't have what it takes to do that. They're not capable of a relationship. And the fact that they do everything on the internet, that is all saying they're not capable of doing this in real life. So they use the internet as a way of escape by making profiles on dating sites and things like that and excuse me, and then hoping for the best and then they get scared again, so they pull out or whatever. So I said to this girl, I said, I bet you anything that before you knew me, that this is what you're doing. Yeah, that as soon as things get really close, you get scared and you run and hide. I'm sure that's what you do. And she didn't say anything. But I said, I can't be with somebody like that. You don't have what it takes to be in a relationship because you are not willing to fight for the love, for the relationship. You are not willing to defend the relationship. You're not willing to nurture the relationship. And all this is saying is also you do not know what love is. But I do. And that's why I can tell you're not capable of this. So I have to leave. It's over. That's it. See? Like attracts like. And on the internet, it can appear that you're both alike, but it might not be that way unless you meet them in person But you have to be emotionally healthy first. Yeah, that's the number one thing, is you have to be emotionally healthy first. And then you can, and if they are too, they're going to do the same thing to you, and that's good. Then you can talk about these things to each other and maybe even help each other, teach one another, love one another, learn from one another. That's all part of love. If both of you are healthy, that's what you will do. But when only one of you is healthy, then you will see, yeah, when you're with that person in person, you will see more. And remember what I said, I'm going to say it again. First, you have to be emotionally healthy first. Then when you meet somebody online, it can be okay. It can start off really nice, but you got to meet in person so you see more. And that's what I did. Yeah, I started to see more. I started to sense more about this person. And when she was saying things like she doesn't see her mother as her mother, but as her sister, and as her father, she sees him as her brother, then I knew there's something wrong there. Because emotionally, that's not right. A father and a mother have responsibilities and and duties, and being a brother or a sister is not one of them. Then when I realized she don't even have any friends, then I said, okay, that's another red flag. And this time, in my life, I pay attention to these red flags. Because in my 30s, I didn't. I would see something wrong, but I would overlook it. Yeah, I would say, "Oh, that's nothing. It's not important." Yeah, and that's denial. But this now in my life, I don't do that anymore. Now I pay attention and I bring that out and I say, "Wait a minute. This is saying something here, and I need to know what it's saying." Then I realized I cannot be with this girl, and so I have to leave. It's not my, uh, her life. She has to be responsible for it, and right now she's not. She's she's irresponsible, and she views everyone else as having the problem. That the problem all begins with others. Yeah, that she's perfect. There's nothing wrong with her, and if anything, you know, goes wrong, well, it's not her fault. See, she it's really irresponsible. Yeah, and I just felt okay. I can see where this probably could end up. Yeah, I could see what most likely is going to happen, and I'm sorry, but I don't have time for that in my life. So I had to leave. Yeah, that was it. I have to I have to uh I have to pay attention to the red flags. So I could see that she was not like me. So there is no like attracts like in this situation. She's not like me. So there is that means if I continue to be with her, if I continue and to go there and live there, I know it's going to fuck up in a really really bad way. And if I do that, that means I am in emotional denial. And I consider myself a healthy, emotionally healthy person. And so I knew, from my experience and also from the lessons that I've learned through these experiences in my life, that this is not healthy and that I need to remain healthy to maintain my emotional healthiness. I have to leave the relationship. She's not willing. She's irresponsible. Yeah. This is a woman that's she's old enough to be living on her own. Yeah, she should she's has no education, but she stays with her parents constantly, considers her mother a sister, considers her father a brother. There's something wrong there. And if I stayed with her and we get into a difficulty, she's going to run. Yeah, she's going to run. And I don't like being left high and dry. That happened to me before, yeah, being left high and dry. That's not a good feeling. And I'm not going to let that happen to me ever again. So, I have to keep, being responsible. Therefore, that meant I cannot be with this girl. Yeah, I cannot be with this girl anymore. So when I saw the twitches and things like that, I realized that this is not gonna work. Yeah, this is. And see what I did? All I did was I took the time to know this girl. I took the time, to know her. Yeah, to talk with her and see what kind of person she is. To see uh, her true self, and to see reality, because the internet is not good enough. Like I said, it's okay for something to start, but you got to meet that person, and you got to spend time with them so you can see more about what they're really like. In the beginning, on the internet, you meet somebody, you talk to them. At the beginning, that you might feel really good, get good feelings, and you might be thinking, "Oh, they're just like me," and you might be thinking it's a like attracts like situation. But to make sure, you got to meet them in person. You got to spend time with them in person, talking about normal things, being in reality as much as possible. And then you will see if they really are emotionally healthy or not. And in my case, she was not. So that was it. C'est la vie. Yeah. Au revoir.